to learn the Arabic language. And now that we've taken the time and effort to come here, we should also realize that we are now considered to be students of knowledge. Right? The fact that we're taking out time from our busy schedules and we're making time to study the Arabic language, it automatically puts us into this category of a talibul ilm. Right? Talib means seeker, ilm, knowledge. So we're all seekers of knowledge. And being a seeker of knowledge is a very unique position. It's a very unique status, especially within our tradition. And there's multiple ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ that talk about the virtues, they talk about the rewards, the blessings of being a student of knowledge. So we're following the tradition of our great scholars of the past who spent their lives in the pursuit of knowledge. And although our effort may be very little compared to theirs, we can still hope to be amongst those people regarding whom the Prophet ﷺ said that man kharaja fi talab al-ilm فَهُوَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ حَتَّى يَرْجِعَ. That whoever goes out to seek knowledge, then that person is on the path of Allah until they return back home. Right, so the fact that we left our homes this morning and we came here and we're sitting here, we're all fi sabilillah. We're all where? On the path of God. Right? We're all in the path of Allah. And when you're in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens? What happens? Blessings, right? Blessings, mercy, virtue, reward. It's going to bring barakah into your life. Honestly speaking, like spending time out of your daily schedules just for the sake of Allah is going to put a lot of blessings in your time. So obviously when people do things, they do this cost-benefit analysis. Right? If I do this, how much is it going to take away from me? And oftentimes what deters us from learning the language and learning Quran and Hadith is what? Time. I don't have time. But when it comes to religious knowledge, the opposite is true. The more time we put into it, the more barakah Allah will put where? Elsewhere in our lives. Right? The more barakah Allah will give in our sustenance, the more barakah Allah will give at work, the more barakah Allah will give with our family. So even though we might be actually like physically taking time away from it, the time we do spend in those other things will become blessed. Because we're using that extra time to learn and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Similarly, the Prophet ﷺ told us that من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله به طريقا إلى الجنة. That whoever travels this path seeking knowledge, then Allah makes the path to paradise easy for that person. So all of us as human beings, one of our main goals and main objectives in life is to earn what? Paradise. Right? We're working towards Jannah. And by traveling this path of knowledge, by being a student of knowledge and learning deen, we are making that path to paradise easier for ourselves. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah to make us all sincere students of knowledge. So before beginning, there's just a few points. And the first is that before beginning anything, it's very important for us to always check our intentions. Right? We should always check our intentions and make sure what we're doing it for the right reason. As the Prophet ﷺ told us, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The actions are only by their intentions. So when studying the Arabic language, our primary intention should be to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that goes for anything that we do that's associated with religion. Anything we do that's associated with deen, our primary intention is always what? Seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say the second level of our intention for studying Arabic should be to gain a deeper understanding of the Quran and Hadith. Right? That is our secondary intention. That through studying the language, we want to have direct access to the Quran. That when we are reciting the Quran, when we hear the Imam reciting the Quran, when we're listening to someone else reciting the Quran, we want to be able to understand it directly. Right? Without an intermediary, without the need of a translation. That we can listen, we can understand, we can comprehend. Right? The same thing goes for the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We want to be able to access it in its original language. Right? We want to be able to access the actual words of the Prophet ﷺ. So they say the primary objective of studying Arabic should be the ability to read and listen with comprehension. And that goes for the major aspect of studying. So when we're studying any language, usually there's 4 major skills that are focused on. Right? One of them would be writing. The second would be reading. The third would be speaking. And the fourth would be comprehension. Right? So in this course, we're not going to focus on speaking whatsoever. Our objective is not to learn conversational Arabic. If you want to learn conversational Arabic, you can use Rosetta Stone. inshallah. And most of the world, when they speak Arabic, you will find that they don't speak Fusha. They don't speak what? Quranic classical Arabic. They speak Ammiya, which is like, I don't know, what's a good English translation for Ammiya? Slang. Or they use colloquial language. So if you go to Egypt and you speak in Fusha, they're going to give you like a interesting look. Right? And Egyptian Arabic, the Egyptian Ammiya sounds very, very different. Our teachers would tell us this like funny story that he went for Hajj, and when he got on the bus, he told the bus driver, min fadlik ضع حقيبتي على السقف. Right? He's like very like fussy, like please put my bag on top of the roof. And the bus driver's like صدق الله العظيم. Right? So our goal is not to learn conversational Arabic. Right? Our goal through this course is that to have reading comprehension skills. Right? First, to be able to read Arabic books, Arabic texts, to be able to figure out their grammar, their morphology, figure out how the language works and functions, but most importantly, reading comprehension. That now when we're reading the Quran, we can understand what's being read. When we're reading a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we can understand what's being read. And that also builds listening comprehension. That once your reading comprehensions are good, your listening comprehension also improves. Even though it requires some practice of listening because people speak in different accents, people speak at different paces. Some speakers are very fast, some speakers are very slow. So reading comprehension helps in that skill as well. So our main focus is not conversation. Our main focus is also not writing. Even though we'll get a lot of practice writing, our main focus is not perfecting your handwriting. How many of you are comfortable writing in Arabic? Somewhat? Alright. How many of you have formally learned how to write the letters?
What is that?
Formally learned how to write the letters? Somewhat? Have you formally learned how to write the letters?
Formally?
Yeah, like tracing the letters and writing them? Okay, good. Neither did I. The way you learn it is you're just going to do what? Copy it, right? You're going to try it to copy it. And obviously at the beginning it's going to be very slow. It's going to be very painstaking. You're going to take forever to write a few words. But the only way to improve on that is by what? Keep writing. Keep practicing. Till today my handwriting sucks. It's ugly. Like if my teachers look at it, they'll yell at me. But that's unfortunately the way it is. But alhamdulillah, with time you can start writing what? Faster. Right? In our traditional, in the seminaries, they actually give a lot of importance on writing. And they want to make sure your handwriting is nice and neat and clean. So a lot of the students that are bored and brought up there and they live in the seminary environment, their handwriting is absolutely amazing. They're natural born calligraphers. So when you look at their test papers, it looks like a page from the Mus'haf. Literally, that's how neat their handwriting is. And then the teachers will look at my handwriting and be like, we're taking 30 points off just because of that. Right? So handwriting is a lost skill. Even in English now, because most of us do what? Type. But Arabic, it's always been something that's written by hand. And obviously, we don't have the time to practice it. But inshallah, as we're going throughout the course and we're writing down words, at least our speed will pick up. If not, improving how to write, inshallah. Alright, so our goal again is to be able to read the Quran and Hadith and to be able to understand them. Now, in order to achieve these goals, in order to achieve these goals in this course, we're going to be using two primary textbooks. Alright, the first textbook is entitled Lisanul Quran. It's entitled Lisanul Quran. Lisan, Lam, I'll write it on the screen. It's okay, you can see my password, no worries. I got fat fingers. Alright, so the first book we're going to study is called Lisanul Quran. Alright, the word lisan in Arabic, it actually means tongue. Right? The literal translation of the word lisan means tongue. But metaphorically it's used to mean language. Right? Metaphorically it's used to mean language because usually languages are spoken what? Through the tongue. Right? So lisan means tongue, but actually it's used metaphorically for language. And Quran is Al-Quran. So Lisanul Quran, language of the Quran. Now this is a book on Arabic grammar. Right? This is a textbook on Arabic grammar, which in Arabic is called An-Nahwu. النحو. Right, Arabic grammar. So this is a series that was developed for non-native Arabic speakers. Right, this is a textbook series that was developed for non-native Arabic speakers to teach them all of the grammatical rules and even some of the morphological rules. Now the book is actually 3 volumes, right? The book is actually 3 volumes. But in this course, especially in the first year, we're only going to cover volume number 1. And volume 1 has 20 chapters. So inshallah, throughout these 3 trimesters, throughout the entire year, over a period of 9 months, on Saturdays, we will complete all 20 chapters. And in these 20 chapters, we will be introduced to the most important grammatical rules in the Arabic language. That if you understand these rules and you know how to use these rules and how they function within sentences and structures, you will have the tools required to start reading texts in Arabic without the vowels. You will have all the tools necessary to pick up a book in Arabic and start reading it without the vowels. The difficult part will be vocabulary. Right? And vocabulary is something that the only way you can learn it is by doing what? Memorizing. Right? Vocab only comes through memorization and through usage. So the more we practice, the more we read, the more we engage with the language, the more familiar we'll become with vocab. And I guess part of our course will be memorizing some vocab words. I'm not going to make it too heavily on vocab words, but inshallah maybe, I don't know, 1 a day is too easy of a goal, maybe 2 new words a day. So every week learn 14 words. Right? By the end of 10 weeks, that's how many words? Mostly Quranic words are common words used in the Arabic language. Right? So our book, it has vocab lists in it, but the problem is that he structures it really in a very strange way. That he has like 5 chapters, and at the end he'll have like a fat list of vocabulary words. So inshallah we'll break those apart, we'll break those down. And every time we're going through the exercises, I'll translate the words as well. So whatever new word you come across, just try to memorize it. And just as a realistic goal, maybe just 2 words a day. Right? Keep memorizing 2 words a day. Alright, so Arabic grammar, an-nahwu, it focuses on different types of words and constructions and how to put them together correctly. So the study of Arabic grammar, it first and foremost introduces you to the parts of speech. Right? What are the parts of speech in the Arabic language? What are the different building blocks of the language that when you put them together, they're used to form phrases and to form sentences? So how are these sentences structured? How are they formed? How do you string words together? That is essentially the study of grammar. And again, this is really important because it gives you the ability to read books correctly. It gives you the ability to read books properly. So grammar is the study of words, phrases, and sentences and how they all work together. So basically how to put words together properly. That is what Nahwu teaches us. Right? How we're going to structure a sentence in a grammatically correct way. So that is the first text we are going to be studying. Alright, the second textbook we're going to use, it is called Fundamentals of Classical Arabic. Alright, Fundamentals of Classical Arabic. Alright, so this is a short book, it's not very long, that introduces us to morphology. Who here has heard the word morphology before? Somewhat? Alright, before studying Arabic, I had never heard that word before. Alright, morphology in English or in Arabic is as-sarf. As-sarfu. Alright, this is known as morphology. Morphology is the study of words and their patterns. And more specifically, the study of verbs and the patterns that verbs take. So one of the unique things about the Arabic language is that it is very formulaic. And what I mean by formulaic is if you learn the formula, all you got to do is plug in what? Words. So it's a very formulaic language. If you learn the patterns and you become familiar with the patterns, you will become more comfortable with the language. Now for those of you who come from an Arabic background or an Arab background, morphology is easy because you grew up speaking in Arabic and hearing Arabic. So conjugating verbs becomes what? Natural. Right? It's something natural that you develop. But for us non-native Arabic speakers, we have to learn how to conjugate verbs. Right? Who here took Spanish in high school? You guys remember like verb conjugations? I took 6 years of Spanish and I don't remember a word. What were the conjugations you have? What? What's for he? L, and then for for her, is it la? Ella, right? And then for like us, that's the one, nosotros. And for I, yo, right? So those, like, you know how there's conjugations in Spanish? There's also conjugations in Arabic. And luckily for us, the conjugations in Arabic are even more complicated. Right? But their complication is not too difficult because it's formulaic. That once you learn the pattern of how verbs conjugate, you can plug in any verb and conjugate it. So if you learn the pattern and you have the pattern down, you can take any verb and just go through its conjugation. So that is what this second book is going to teach us. But we're going to focus on the second book a little bit later on. Our primary focus is going to be on the first book, on Lisanul Quran. Alright, so these are the two primary aspects of the Arabic language. Right? If you're looking at Arabic language at like a holistic level, right? Al-Arabiya, if you're looking at the Arabic language on a holistic level, there are three major branches of study within the Arabic language. Right, there's three major branches. The first would be an-nahwu, which is grammar. The second would be as-sarf, which is morphology. Again, verbs and their conjugations. And the third is something known as al-balagha. Al-balagha. Which some people translate as like eloquence or rhetoric. Right? This is the branch of Arabic language that deals with like literary devices such as similes and metaphors and examples. This is what adds beauty to the language. Right? This is what makes Arabic language extremely beautiful. And this is part of what makes the Quran so beautiful and miraculous, is the balagha of the Quran. Right? The eloquence, the rhetoric, the beauty of the Quran. An-nahwu. 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 This is as-sarf. And this is al-balagha. So balagha is a more advanced topic which requires you to know what? Nahwu and sarf. So inshallah, our focus in this course is going to be on the first two. We're going to be focusing on Nahwu and as-sarf. Inshallah. So we have our foundations down. So essentially, our teachers, when we started studying the language, they would tell us that Arabic, you can think of it as a human body. Right? In the human body, what's the foundation of our body? What structure? The skeletal structure, right? That's the foundation of our body. That's what keeps us up. So they say the skeletal structure of the Arabic language is nahwu and sarf. It's the Arabic and the morphology. Then the organs and the flesh and the blood and the skin, all of that is vocab. All that is vocab. So we're going to be building our body of Arabic language starting with the structure, and then we'll put on vocab as we move along, inshallah. Now, one note is that Arabic language oftentimes is perceived to be difficult. But in reality, the language is not difficult. Right? The language of Arabic is not a difficult language. It is perhaps one of the easiest languages to learn. And that's part of the reason why, again, Allah chose it to be the language of the Quran. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself tells us, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. That indeed we have made the Quran easy to remember. Right? We have made the Quran easy to memorize. We have made the Quran easy to understand. فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. So is there anyone there who's going to be reminded by it? Or is there anyone there who's going to learn from it? So the Arabic language is easy to learn. So I think a lot of times what prevents people from learning the language is a mental roadblock. And that mental roadblock is something that's more personal. That we think that perhaps we suck at language, our language skills aren't good, and Arabic seems so hard and so difficult. So I want everyone here to just like, I don't know how to do it, but just get rid of that mental roadblock. Arabic is not hard. Arabic is what? It's easy. Right? So if we keep that mindset, inshallah, then we're going to find the language to be easy to learn. Now, what happens is that when we learn English, we learn all these grammar rules when we're how old? When did we learn grammar? 4th grade, 5th grade, maybe 3rd grade, elementary school. Who remembers anything from those classes? Nobody. Right? But what happens is that since we're like native speakers, it just becomes intrinsic. Now when it comes to the Arabic language, since we're not native speakers, it's not going to be intrinsic at first. It's going to be a little bit challenging. That we're learning these new rules, and oftentimes these rules don't match what happens in English. So there's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But it's important to be able to overcome that challenge. So they say there's a specific trajectory of learning the language. That when you start learning the language, you're on this like deep incline, like this high incline, where you're learning, but then all of a sudden you hit a ceiling. Right? You hit this ceiling. Right? Who here is into basketball? You guys know like the rookie wall? What the rookie wall is? Right? They do good and then all of a sudden they can't like break through. And they're like stuck at a place. That's what happens with language, with Arabic specifically. So you're going to keep learning and you're going to hit this plateau. And a lot of times students stay on this plateau for a long time. And what happens when people are on that plateau? They drop off, right? They jump off. So once you reach that plateau, understand that you're going to be in that plateau for when? A long time. But once you break through that plateau, then everything is what? Goes back. It becomes easy. So if you find yourself reaching that level, do not be discouraged. That is absolutely normal. That's what happens. That's the process of learning Arabic. And since we're doing it part-time, we're doing it once a week for 2 hours, our process is going to be very what? Slow and deliberate. And from my past 5 years of experience of teaching adults, no adult does homework. Right? If you think it's hard to get kids to do homework, it's even more difficult to get you guys to do homework. And obviously we're busy, we have work, we have children, families, etc., commitments, so it is hard to do homework. So I will not personally assign homework. Anything that we do as exercises, we'll do them together in class. So we'll get all our practice together in class, but I do encourage you to at least spend 2 hours a week reviewing everything. So if you have 2 hours of class, inshallah throughout the week, spend at least 2 hours doing what? Reviewing. Just go through your notes, go through the lesson, try to understand the concept, try to practice the concept. If you don't get it, come back, ask me questions, whatever it may be. So it's going to be a slow and gradual process. You know, there's that cliche that a drop of water eventually turns into a what? A bucket of water. That bucket of water will become a little stream. The stream will become a river. The river goes into an ocean. So our approach to Arabic language can be the same. We're going to have what? Drops, and inshallah those drops will collect and become bigger and bigger and bigger, inshallah. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy. So our teachers, they would always start a new class, a new session by this following dua. They would say, Rabbi yassir, repeat it after me, Rabbi yassir, wa la tu'assir, wa tammim bil khair, wa bika nasta'een, ya fattah, ya rabb al-alameen. Rabbi yassir, oh my Lord, make it easy. Wala tu'assir, and don't make it hard. Watammim bil khair, and allow us to complete it with goodness. Wa bika nasta'een, and with you we seek help. Ya fattah, oh opener, meaning open what? Open our hearts, open our minds, open our ability to understand and intellect. Ya Rabb al-Alameen, O Lord of the worlds. So inshallah we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy and not make it difficult. Alright, so now before starting formally our textbook, oh, and by the way, the textbooks, we do have them available for purchase at the front desk. Right? If you do not want to purchase the books, I will put a PDF of both on the student learning site. So if you go to the student learning site, there's a place where it says resources. I will post the files for the PDFs there. So there's PDFs available for both. But if you want the physical copy, they are available at the front desk, inshallah. Alright. Now, before learning the language, they say it's important to have like a map of the language in your mind. Right? How the language actually functions, how it works, how words are structured, and how they're put together. So they start off by drawing this they call this the map of the Arabic language. Right? Map of the Arabic language. Now I'm going to be using Arabic words. If the Arabic words seem overwhelming, don't worry about it. It's okay. But at least this gives us a map. They say every single sound that a human being utters, right? Every single noise, every single sound a person speaks from their mouth in Arabic is called lafdhun. In Arabic is called lafdhun. For those of you who know Urdu, it's the same word. Lafdhun. Lafdhun, we'll translate it as an utterance. Right? Anything that we speak, anything that we say as human beings is called a what? Lafdhun. Now that noise, that sound that we make from our mouths, it can have a meaning or it cannot have a meaning. Right? I can say, I don't know, a book. The word book has what? A meaning. Or I can say blah. The word blah really doesn't have what? A meaning. Or I can make some noise, right? So a word, an utterance that has a meaning in Arabic, they call it lafdhun mawdu'un. Lafdhun mawdu'un. I guess we can translate the word mawdu'un as coined. Who's familiar with what that means? That this word has a specific coinage. It has a specific what? Usage or meaning. And the word lafdhun just means utterance. Alright, a word that does not have meaning in the Arabic language is called muhmal. Muhmalun. Meaningless. And obviously, since we're studying language, we don't care about al-lafdhul muhmal. You could care less. Because when you're studying a language, you're studying words that have what? Meanings. Alright, so this utterance that has a meaning, alright, that has a meaning, it could be singular or it could be compound. Alright, singular in Arabic is mufradun, meaning it's one word. Alright, it's one word. Mufrad, it is just one single word. Compound murakkabun, it's two or more words. So an example of mufrad in English would be boy. Right? That is what? Mufrad. It's just one word. It carries a meaning. Right? Murakkab is a construction. It's compound. It's a compound structure. It's more than one word. So I can say the small boy, the tall boy, right? The skinny boy, the smart boy. Or the boy is in school. The boy is in the masjid. The boy is smart. All of these are known as murakkab because they're compound constructions. They're more than one word put together. So in Arabic we have the same thing. We have words, singular words, one word by itself, and then you can put those words together to form murakkab, a construction. So in Arabic, the mufrad is if there's like three categories. There's something called al-ismu, right, al-ismu. The second is al-fi'lu. And the third is al-harf. Al-ismu, al-fi'lu, al-harf. Al-ism, just for this, I guess, sake of translation, it's translated as a noun. What is a noun? The name of a person, place, or thing. Like book, car, watch, classroom, school, teacher, student. Al-fi'lu is translated as verb. What's a verb? Right, it's a word that describes an action. Eating, drinking, sleeping, talking, writing. And harf is a particle. What's a particle? A particle could be in English like a conjunction, like and. It could be a preposition, like in or on, if, etc. So these are the individual parts of the Arabic language, right? There's either a noun, a verb, or a particle. And then when you put these together, right, when you put these words together and you form a construction, a compound construction, it's either going to give a complete meaning or an incomplete meaning. And what that means is going to be a complete sentence or an incomplete sentence. So when the murakkab is a complete sentence, in Arabic they say mufidun. Murakkabun, mufidun. the beneficial sentence. And you have murakkab غير مفيد, non-beneficial construction.
Those who are online said are asking if you could scroll down.
Okay. Alright, good. So this is what we term as the map of the Arabic language. Now this is very theoretical. If the words seem hard for you, it's absolutely okay. Alright, the reason for going through this map is just to show what we're going to be studying. So again, I'm going to go through the map and I'm going to highlight what we're going to actually be studying. So every word you utter, right, every sound that comes out of a human being's mouth in Arabic is called lafdun. Right, that laf, that utterance, it can have a meaning or it can not have a meaning. If that utterance has a meaning, it's called lafdun mawdu'un. Lafdun mawdu'un. A meaningful utterance, a coined utterance. If it has no meaning, it's called lafdun muhmalun. And we don't care about that because we're studying language. Now, if it's a coined utterance, if it has a meaning, it could be mufradun, singular, meaning it's one word by itself. Okay, murakkab, compound, two or more words together. Alright, if it's a singular word, it's either going to be a ism, a fa'il, or a harf. Ism, noun, fa'il, verb, harf, particle. So this is what we're going to be studying initially. We're going to be studying an ism. That in the Arabic language, what is an ism? What actually is a noun? What do they look like? How do they function? How do you use them in a sentence? Right? A fa'il, a verb. What is a verb? What are the tenses that exist in the Arabic language? Right? How to use the past tense? How to use the present tense? How to use the future tense? How to use the command form? And then how to put them in a sentence? How to use it in sentences? How to conjugate them? So we're going to study the ism literally. We say we're going to study it till death. Right? We're going to study the ism in every single way, analyze it in every single way possible. The same thing goes for the verb. We're going to study it to death, so that we have like this deep understanding of how these words are used in the language. And the same thing goes for harf. Alright, so we're going to study each thing individually. And once we study them individually, we're going to then learn how to do what? String them together. And to make murakkab, to make a compound structure. And that compound structure can be mufid, it could be a complete sentence, or it could be an incomplete sentence, which is a phrase. And a phrase is always going to be part of what? A larger sentence. So this is essentially what we're studying in this course, right? Words of the language and how to string them together to make meaningful sentences, to make meaningful constructions. Now again, the process will be slow and gradual, but inshallah we will get there. And difficult, sometimes. We're going to say it's not difficult. We're going to say it's very easy. Right? My motto is Arabic is easy. Right? If you want like self-motivation tips, have like a sticker at your desk and just says what Arabic is easy. And I guess the more you read it, the more you'll be convinced that Arabic is easy. Alright, Arabic is easy, inshallah. Alright. Let's take a short break. Alright, so again, class is 2 hours every week from 11 to 1. And I'm not going to keep you guys confined for 2 hours straight because our minds are going to become mush. So inshallah we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll come back inshallah.
Where does Chicken Run? He does the other class? Yeah. What does he start at?
He starts at Qasas al-Nabiyyin.
Oh. Okay, so you say this is 3 volumes. You're only going to do 1 volume?
You do 1 volume and the other book along with it.
And the other book. And then he starts off with Qasas al-Nabiyyin, so he's not doing any grammar.
You do review the rules as we're going along, but the pictures that you know the rules already.
So what's in the second and the third book?
The second, third book, the second book is mostly morphology.
Okay.
So we take care of that with the other book.
Oh, okay.
The sound and the way he presents it's really like complicated.
Okay.
The English doesn't make sense.
Because I know, I was looking at my daughter's book, and they sound like the first maybe 5 or 6 chapters.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Then the other ones I said, okay, I need to start reviewing here. That's where I need to start working. But, okay. I'll just stick with it.
Inshallah. I'll get you the syllabus so that you have it like set.
Okay.
Inshallah. Alright, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. So inshallah today, we are going to go through the concept that is covered in chapter 1 of the book. And the concept that the author covers in chapter 1 is regarding words in the Arabic language. Alright, so in the Arabic language, the word for word is al-kalima. Right, the word for word is al-kalimatu. Al-kalimatu. Alright, the word al-kalima, we can translate it as the word. Every single word we come across in the Arabic language is going to fall into one of three categories. So every single word in the Arabic language, regardless of whether we're reciting a verse of the Quran, we're reading a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, or we're reading any other Arabic literature, every word you come across is going to fit into one of three categories. Right? The first is al-ism. Again, for now we can translate it as noun. The second is al-fi'l, which we can translate as verb. And the third is al-harfu, which we can translate as particle. So every single word in the Arabic language, it falls into one of these three categories. It's either going to be an ism, it's going to be a fa'il, or it's going to be a harf. So this is how we categorize words in the Arabic language. Ismun, fa'ilun, harf. So just repeat that with me. Ismun, fa'ilun, harfun. Alright, ismun, fa'ilun, harfun. Good. Every word in Arabic language is either going to be ism, fa'il, or harf. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these individually. That how do the grammarians define ism, how do they define fa'il, and how do they define harf. And the objective of doing so is that by the end of the lesson, when we pick up the Quran and we look at a Quranic verse, we can identify what's a ism, what's a fa'il, and what's a harf. And how that helps us is that now if we learn how to use the dictionary, we can look up the word in the dictionary, in an Arabic dictionary, which we will learn how to use as the class progresses, inshallah. Alright, so we'll look at each of these categories individually. Alright, the first being al-ism. Alright, the first category again being al-ism, which we're translating as the noun. Alright, so a simple way, which is a non-technical way of defining the noun, is the name of a person, place, or thing. So we'll do, I guess, 4 examples. And we'll do common words that we can find in a school. Alright, what's the word for school in Arabic? Madrasa. Alright, madrasatun. Alright, and you're going to notice that when I'm teaching, I'm going to be very careful in enunciating all of the vowels, and especially the last vowel of the word. And you'll see as we progress through the class why I'm doing that. So, for the word for school is madrasatun. Madrasatun just means school. This is a noun. What's the word for student? Talibun. Alright, talibun, a student. What's the word for teacher? There's muallimun and there's ustadun. We'll go with ustadun. What's the word for book? Kitabun. What's the word for pen? Qalamun. So all of these are nouns. Right? In Arabic it's called ism. Alright, so the name of a person, place, or thing. Now this is a very non-technical definition. The grammarians, right? An-nahwiyun. When they define noun, they define it in a very, very technical way. And the reason for these technical definitions is because they want to be very specific on how they define terms. So maybe writing the Arabic definition is like too much, so I'll just translate it in English. They say an ism in Arabic is every word that conveys an independent meaning and is not associated with a tense. So the actual definition of an ism is a word that conveys an independent meaning. And is not associated with a tense. So every single word that conveys an independent meaning. And what is meant by that is that the word by itself, if you hear it, if you read it, it gives you a meaning. Right? The word on its own, by itself, when someone says it or when you read it, it gives a meaning on its own. So if you look at all of our examples, the word madrasatun by itself, it conveys a what? Conveys a meaning. The word talibun conveys a meaning. The word ustadun conveys a meaning. Kitabun, qalamun, they all convey meanings on their own. And they're not associated with a tense. Right? None of these words gives me any tense. I don't know past, present, or future. That make sense? So any word that conveys an independent meaning, meaning by itself it has a meaning, and there's no tense associated with it, it automatically gets classified as ism. So this is the technical definition. If you find a word that fits into this definition, automatically it's a ism. And this is the actual identifying, I guess, mechanism. That if you have a word and you can apply this definition to it, it's a ism. Any questions on that? Alright. That's a good question, which we'll learn. Maybe by chapter 5 we'll learn about that. Or actually, chapter 3 we'll learn. We'll learn why it's un. Alright. The second type of word is al-fi'l. Which in English we just translate as the verb. So again, the non-technical definition of a verb, it's a word that conveys an action. Right? A word that describes an action. So we can have some examples in Arabic. So again, let's stick within the classroom. Jalasa. Jalasa means he sat down. Jalasa, he sat down. Qara'tu. Qara'tu means I read. Qara'tu, I read. Jalasa, he sat down. Qara'tu, I read. Tadkhulu. Tadkhulu, it can mean two things. It means you enter, or it can also mean she enters. And we'll get there inshallah when we do morphology. Right? Verb conjugations, they convey, they tell us who's doing the verb. So tadkhulu, for now we'll just say she enters. Right? Yu'allimu. He's teaching. Alright, so these are all verbs in the Arabic language. Right, these are all verbs in the Arabic language. So the technical definition of a verb by the grammarians is that it's a word that conveys an independent meaning, but it has a tense associated with it. So by itself, these words, they all convey meanings. But what's different than this in the ism is that these have what with it? A tense. Right? It tells us if it's past, if it's present, or future. So the technical definition is a word that conveys an independent meaning. If I misspell something in English, please forgive me. I don't have spell check when I write. If I misspell something in Arabic, don't forgive me. Alright, a word that conveys an independent meaning and is associated with a tense.
What's yu'allim?
Yu'allim, he teaches. So any word in Arabic that we come across that again conveys a meaning on its own, but now there's a tense with it, past, present, or future, automatically gets categorized as fa'il. It automatically gets categorized as fa'il. Mm-hmm.
That word, the last word, I think I heard somebody just say it says yu'allim.
Yu'allim.
It is. I don't see two dots.
On the, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's my shorthand writing. I just put a line instead of two dots.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see.
So on the board for shorthand, instead of making two dots because it takes longer, I just make a what? Squiggly line. Alright. So yu'allimu. Alright. And we'll come across this again, but just to be familiar with the words, again, what's the word for noun in Arabic? Ismun. What's the word for fa'il? Oh, verb. Fa'ilun. So ismun and fa'ilun. Alright, now the reason why I want you to get familiar with the Arabic is because the English translation is not 100% accurate. So as we progress, we're going to leave the English terminology and stick with what? The Arabic terms. So ismun and fa'ilun. Now the fa'il has three major tenses. Or we can say three major forms. And we'll learn about this later on, so if you don't remember this, it's okay. The first is al-madi. Al-madi-yu. Al-madi-yu. This is the past tense. So this is a verb that conveys the meaning of an action that took place where? In the past. Right? In the madi. This would be a verb that conveys the meaning of an action that took place in the past. Example, jalastu. Jalastu means I sat down. Jalastu, I sat down. So it's a verb, but it's conveying the action where? Where did it take place? In the past. So it's called al-fa'ilul madi. Al-fa'ilul madi. The second is called al-fa'ilul mudari'u. Al-fa'ilul mudari'u. The present tense. So this conveys the meaning of an action that's taking place when? Now, in the present. I'll use the same verb. Ajlisu. I'm sitting down. Right, ajlisu, I'm sitting. So ajlisu, it's a verb, but it conveys the meaning of what? Of the present. So it's called al-fa'ilul mudari'u. Now to get more technical, the actual translation of mudari' is the present perfect. In English they call it the present perfect. And the reason why they call it the present perfect is because in Arabic it could be the present tense, or it could also be the what? The future tense. It could be the present, or it could also be the future. But inshallah, when we study verbs, we'll get there, so don't be too overwhelmed. This is just to have they say in Arabic, tasawwur. Tasawwur is like conceptualization, just to like conceptualize the concept. Alright, and the third form of the verb that we're going to learn later on is called al-amru. Al-amru is the command. Al-amru is the command. So for example, if I want to tell someone to sit down and say, ijlis. Ijlis. Sit down. Alright, so you'll notice that look, the verb for the past that I'm using it as an example for the past, present, and command, it's the same verb, but what's changing? The form. Right? The form changes. I have jalastu, I sat down. Ajlisu, I'm sitting. Ijlis, sit down. So this is al-fi'l al-madi, al-mudari'u, and al-amru. So when we're studying sarf, when we're studying morphology, we're going to learn the patterns of the past tense, the present tense, and the command. And we're going to learn how to conjugate the past tense, the present tense, and the command. And we'll learn how they function. But if you look at all three verbs, what letters do they share in common? What letters are they sharing in common? Jim, Lam, Sin. Alright, so this is a common feature in the Arabic language, is that most words are built off of three root letters. Most words in the Arabic language are built off of three root letters. And these root letters convey a meaning. And then when you put these root letters on certain patterns, their meaning expresses itself in a different way. So the root letters, Jim, Lam, Sin, mean what? Sit. So when I say jalastu, it means I sat. When I say ajlisu, I'm sitting. When I say ijlis, it means sit down. So they share the same what? The same root letters. So it's the different words, but same root letters. But again, that is something that we will study a little bit later on. Right now is just so that we have an idea of what it is. The main thing to keep in mind here is just the definition. A word that conveys an independent meaning and is associated with a tense. Alright, the last type of word that we have in the Arabic language is al-harf. Al-harfu, which we translate as the particle. Alright, this is the particle. So the particle, it could be prepositions. It could be conjunctions. Is there an N there? I'm going to say there's an N there, inshallah. Conjunction, junction, what's my function? Alright, so conjunctions. Examples in the Arabic language are the word fi. The word fi means what? In. Like you'll say fil madrasa, in the school. You have the word ala, which means on top. Right? Al-kitab or al-qalamu ala al-kitab. The pen is on the book. Right? Al-qalamu ala al-kitab. The pen is on the book. You can have bi, ba with a kasra. Like what do we say before we recite the Quran? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We translate it as in the name of Allah, but it actually means what? With. Right? Bismillah, with the name of Allah. We have min, which means from. Right? Bayti qareebun min al-masjid. My house is close to the masjid. Like literally from the masjid, but we don't speak like that in English. So bayti qareebun min al-masjid. So these are examples of huruf. Right? These are examples of particles. Now the technical definition that the grammarians give is that a particle is a word that does not convey an independent meaning. A word that does not convey an independent meaning. Rather, it needs another word to convey a meaning. And what is meant by that is that if you have a particle on its own, like if I have just the word fi written by itself, it has no meaning. In order for this to convey a meaning, there has to be a what after it? There has to be a word after it. Right? There has to be either an ism or a fi'l after or before it. And it's always going to be used in conjunction with another word. Alright. So, I'm sorry? B means with. B is with, and min is from. Alright. So that is essentially the first chapter and the first lesson in our textbook. Now, we're not going to read it together. You guys can go home and read it, inshallah. The concept is pretty clear that we went through. Every single word in the Arabic language is either ismun, fi'lun, or harfun. And again, the objective of going through this is that first it gives us the parts of speech. So we're familiarizing ourselves with the parts of speech of the Arabic language. So one of my teachers would say, we can use the analogy of Legos. Right? Think of the Arabic language as a box of Legos. So right now what we're doing is we're familiarizing ourselves with the what? Individual pieces. Inshallah, we're just going to become familiar with like the yellow brick and the red brick and the green brick. Just for now. And then later on we're going to figure out how to do what? How to build and put them together. Inshallah. So ismun, fa'lun, harfun. So the objective of going through this is that we want to be able to identify these within a sentence. So I'm going to write 3 example sentences on the board. We're going to identify them. And then we're going to apply this, what we learn, to Surah Al-Fatiha, inshallah. Right, whatever we learn, we're going to apply it to Surah Al-Fatiha. Alright, so, let's see. The first example. Al-Talibu fil madrasati. Al-Talibu fil madrasati. Alright, the student is in the school. The student is in the school. The word at-talib, is it an ism, is it a fa'il, is it a harf? Ismun. Right, for ism we can just go shorthand, we'll say I. Ismun. Fi, is it ismun, fa'ilun, harfun? Harfun. Right, for short, H. Madrasa, the school, ismun, fa'ilun, or harfun? Ismun. Good. Example number 2. يذهب الطالب إلى المدرسة. I'm going to make a long sentence. مدرسة بالحافلة. يذهب الطالب, the student goes, إلى المدرسة, to the school, بالحافلة, by bus. Alright, the student goes. So what's the word for goes here? يذهب. Alright, the student goes إلى المدرسة, to the school, بالحافلة, by bus. So, by. You can say with, but in English we don't say with bus. You know, this is kind of a mean joke, but like, you know when someone comes new to America and they're learning English, and sometimes their grammar sounds off, is because they're actually doing what? They're translating like word for word. Right? They're translating word for word. So sometimes that's why the English is going to be a bit off. Alright, يذهب. اسم فاعل or حرف? فاعل. This is a verb. Right? How is it a verb? It conveys an independent meaning, goes, and it's in what tense? Present tense. Good. الطالب اسم. إلى حرف. مدرسة اسم. B حرف. Right, this B by itself is just a حرف. And then الحافلة اسم. Good. Alright, one last example before going to Al-Fatiha. يقرأ. Alright, this is a female example then. Let's say تقرأ. Right. تقرأ الأستاذة الكتاب you use على طلاب. So تقرأ الأستاذة الكتاب على الطلاب. The female teacher is reading the book to the students. Alright, the female teacher is reading the book to these students. Alright, so the word تقرأ اسم فعل or حرف. Reading. Good. فعل. It's a فعل. It's a verb. الأستاذة, the female teacher. اسم. الكتابة, the book. اسم. على حرف. And الطلاب اسم as well. Good. So alhamdulillah, it seems like we're at least comfortable with this concept. Alright, so again, our purpose of going through these concepts is to be able to apply it to the Quran. So inshallah, we're going to go through it and apply this to Suratul Fatiha. Alright, let me just pull up a copy of the Mus'haf real quick.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
If we're unable to write it that quickly, should we just focus on understanding?
Yeah, focus on understanding. If I'm going too quick on writing, let me know, please. I will do what? I will slow down. Alright, sometimes I forget the pace because I've taught this too many times. So I kind of like rush through it. If you find me rushing through it, please tell me to do what? Slow down. Just be like, hey, slow down. I'll be like, okay. Yeah.
Should we be taking the notes down, or are we just supposed to listen?
It depends on how you learn better.
By the time I'm done writing, I'm not really listening.
Yeah. So perhaps it might be better just to listen first, and then you can always go back. I will send a PDF of the notes out. Right? Everything I write on the screen, I can save it as a PDF and send it to everyone. It'll be on like the, the learning management system that we have. It'll be like under lesson 1, we'll have the video, and then I'll put a PDF of the notes there. Inshallah. Alright, let me see.
Can we go back and also watch the...
Yeah. You can go back and watch the videos. Alright, this is the fun stuff. Alright. Suratul Fatiha. Suratul Fatiha. How do we translate the word Al-Fatiha? Usually the opening. Right? Al-Fatiha, the opening. One of the reasons why it's called the opening is because the Quran opens with it. Right? It's like an introduction to the Quran. Now the word Al-Fatiha, the opening, is that an ism, is it a fa'l, is it a harf? The opening. It's an ism, right? It's a word that conveys an independent meaning and there's no tense. So the word Fatiha itself is a ism. Maybe red would be better. No, the word Fatiha is ism. Alright, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alright, Bismillah, with the name of Allah. Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, Ar-Rahim, the very merciful. Alright, now Ar-Rahman, Rahim, these are two attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's multiple translations of it. The most common you find is the most beneficent, the most merciful. Right? A more accurate translation is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, Ar-Rahim, the ever merciful. Right? So Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, they're both derived from the same root letters of Ra, Ha, and Mim. And they both convey the meaning of mercy. But Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, even though they're very similar, they come from the same root letters, they're both conveying different types of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is Ar-Rahman. So some of the commentators say Rahmanud Dunya. Right? Rahmanud Dunya means that every single thing in this universe that exists is enjoying the mercy of whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Both animate and inanimate objects, living, non-living, believers, non-believers, everyone is receiving whose mercy? Allah's mercy. And they say Rahimun fil akhirah. That rahmah becomes specific for whom in the hereafter? For the believers, right? For the mu'minun, for the believers. So you say Rahmanud Dunya, Rahimul Akhirah. Or Rahman, you can say his encompassing mercy, and Rahim is specific mercy. But for right now, we'll just translate it as Ar-Rahman, and the most merciful, Ar-Rahim, the ever merciful. So Bismi, this is actually two words, right? Bismi is a combination of two words. So I'm just going to write it so that it illustrates it. So it's actually a combination of the harful jar bi and the word ism. The word ism we just studied means what? Noun. But it also means name. Like if I ask someone, what's your name? What do I say? Masmuka. What's your name? So the word ism also means name. Now when writing the basmala, for brevity, this alif gets omitted. So instead of writing that, we just write it like this. So Bismi, it's actually what? The harf ba plus the word ism. Alright, but for the sake of brevity, the writers, they omit the what? Alif. Alright, so we have Bismi, with the name. So the word bi, is it a ism, is it a fa'il, is it a harf? Good. What about the word ism? Ism isn't? Ism. The word Allah, it's an ism. Alright, so the word Allah in Arabic, we refer to it as lafzul jalala. Right, this is the word of whom? The magnificent. Right, this is known as the proper noun for God. Right, in the Arabic language, Allah is the proper noun for whom? Allah. Right, so they say Allah, some say it's the ismul a'zam, it's the greatest name of Allah, because this name captures all of his divine attributes and essence. So the word Rahman, Rahim, Al-Hakim, Al-Alim, Al-Sami' Al-Basir, it's all included within what? Allah. So all the 99 names of Allah are included within the name Allah. So this is his, they say Ismul Alam. And then the commentators of the Quran and the linguists, they get into this like deep discussion of where does the word Allah come from? Is it derived from anything else? Is it an independent word? And what is the actual technical definition of Allah? We're not going to get into all that. Right? Just the word Allah, grammatically speaking, is a what? It's an ism. Alright? The word Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, ism. And the word Ar-Rahim, ism. Good. So the word ism, the word Allah, the word Rahman, the word Rahim, they're all asma, they're all nouns, because their meaning is independent and they don't have a tense. Good. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Right, all thanks and praise are for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Alright, the word Alhamdu, we translate it as thanks and praise. Alhamd, the actual linguistic definition is actual praise. But as a concept, hamd, it's a combination of both. That you're thanking and praising whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the word al makes it like specific. All thanks, all praise belong solely to whom? Allah. So alhamdu, thanks and praise, is this an ism, is it a fa'al or a harf? Ism.
But can't you just recognize that it's an ism from the alif now?
Exactly. But that's a cheat we'll get to later.
Okay.
Right? So this is an ism.
Verb is doing.
Verb is doing.
So open also, your opening means.
So we're just saying thanks and praise belong to Allah. Right? So the concept of thanks and praise belongs to Allah. So it's referring to the name of a thing.
So that's not an action.
You can make it an action by saying I'm praising God, but this is not saying that. This is saying what? Praise belongs to whom? Belongs to God. Alright, so lillahi is also a combination of two words. It's a combination of li and the word Allah. So it's two words. The li would be a what? Harf. Okay, this would be a harf. And again, the word Allah is ism. Rabb, Lord, Master. Right? Rabb is also an ism. Alameen is the plural of the word alam. Alam means world. Alameen, the worlds. What is the worlds referring to? All of them, right? The world of mankind, the world of jinn, the animal kingdom, the insect kingdom, the fish kingdom, whatever it is. Right? All the worlds. Allah is the Lord of everything. Right? So Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamd, all thanks and praise, lillah, are for Allah. Right? Rabbi, the Lord, Al-Alameen, of the worlds. So Al-Alameen is also what? Ism. Very good. So Alhamdu ism, li harf, the word Allah ism, the word Rabb ism, the word Alameen ism. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the most merciful, the very merciful. They're both ism. Good. Maliki Yawmiddin, master, owner of the day of judgment. Alright, what is Malik? Ism. Right? King, sovereign, owner. It means absolute authority belongs to whom on that day? Allah. Yawm means day. Right? Deen actually means recompense. So the word deen has multiple definitions. One context, it means religion. Right? Deenul Islam. One context, it means recompense. So why is the day of judgment called the day of recompense? That's what we get recompense. If you did good, you get good. If you did bad, you get bad. So Yawmuddin is one of the names of the day of judgment. So Malik, the owner of the day of, more literally, the day of recompense. Alright, so Malik is ism, Yawm is also ism. And Deen is also ism. Very good. Alright, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'inu. Alright, we only worship you and we only seek help from you. Alright, now Iyaka is a little bit complicated and we'll get there a little later on. Alright, just to know that this word ka is a personal pronoun. You. Right? All personal pronouns in the Arabic language are going to be classified as an ism, fi'l, or harf. What? What's a person? Even in English, a pronoun is a what? It's an ism, it's a noun. So all pronouns in the Arabic language are also nouns. So iyaka, the ka is going to be a ism. Na'budu, we worship. We are worshipping. Fi'l. Right? This is a fi'l. Na'budu, we are worshipping. So only you we worship. Wa iyyaka nasta'inu, nasta'inu, we seek help from you alone. So we seek help. Is that a fi'l or an ism? It's a fi'l. It's an ism as well. Sorry, a fi'l as well. Afwan. So iyyaka na'bud wa iyyaka nasta'in. Right?
What about the waw?
Waw is a harf. Good. It's just simply a conjunction. Harf. So iyyaka ism, na'budu fi'l, waw harf, again iyaka ism, and nasta'in fi'l. So only you we worship, or we worship you alone, and we seek help from you alone. Now, just a technical note in tafsir, grammatically speaking, iyaka should come after the verb. It should be na'budu iyaka. But oftentimes in Arabic, they switch the sequence to make it more specific. And that's why you translate it as only. Right? Only you we what? Worship. And only you we seek help from. So it just gives that added extra meaning of only. It makes it specified. Alright. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Right?
Yeah, we consider that as an ism as well? Or
Yeah, it's part of the ism.
It's
part of the ism. Alright. Ihdina, guide us. Ihdina, guide us. Good. Ihdi is fi'l. Dana, us. It's a pronoun. Ism. Right? Ihdina, guide us. As-sirat al-mustaqim. Sirat, path. Mustaqim, straight. Right? Guide us to the straight path. So sirat is ism and mustaqim is also ism. Alright, we're going to learn about this in about chapter 10. Nouns and adjectives. So in English, when we describe a noun with an adjective, what comes first? The adjective.
Oh, yeah,
Right? The big boy, the red car. But in Arabic, the sequence is flipped. Right? The adjective or the noun comes first, then the adjective. Alright, so as-sirat, the path, mustaqim, straight. So guide us to the straight path. What is as-sirat al-mustaqim? Islam, right? Deenul Islam, the religion of Islam is as-sirat al-mustaqim. Alright, sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim. The path of those upon whom you have bestowed blessings. Alright, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed blessings. So sirata, the path, is ism. Those, alladhina in Arabic, we're going to learn about this in chapter 20. Right, alladhina in Arabic is called ismul mawsul. It's a relative pronoun. So I said all pronouns are what? Ism. An'amta, you bestowed blessings. Favored, right? It's a fi'l because it's describing an action that took place where? In the past. So this is a fi'l. Alayhim, upon them. So this is a combination of two words. Ala and a pronoun. Upon them. Good. Ala harf and him ism. Good. Alright, sirat alladhina an'amta alayhim, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed your blessings, or the path of those whom you have favored. Alright, now the question should be coming to your mind, who are those people? Right, who are the people that Allah has favored? Allah has bestowed blessings upon them. So one of the unique aspects of the Quran is they say Al-Quran yufassiru ba'duhu ba'da, that the Quran explains itself. So if you keep reading the Quran, you're going to come across Surah An-Nisa. And in Surah An-Nisa, is it Surah An-Nisa Al-Ma'idah? Surah An-Nisa, I believe. Right, Allah says, وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. That whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, then they are going to be with those upon whom Allah has favored and blessed. And then He mentions who they are. مَعَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. Right, so an'amta alayhim is referring to whom? An-nabiyyin, the prophets. As-siddiqeen, the truthful. Ash-shuhada, the martyrs. As-salihin, the righteous, the pious. Good. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ, not the path of those upon whom you are angry. Right, not the path of those upon whom you are angry. So غَيْرِ, we'll get to a little bit later on. It can either be an ism, it can also be a harf, depending on how you look at it grammatically. So here we'll go with harf. Al-maghdub. Al-maghdub in Arabic is a word form that's known as ismul maf'ul. It's the noun form of something on which the action takes place. So Allah's anger took place upon them. So al-maghdubi alayhim. Right? Allah is angry upon them. So maghdub is going to be a ism. Alayhim, again, it's this combination of ala as a harf and him is a ism. Wala dhalin, nor those who have gone astray. Right, dhalin is the plural of the word dhal. Dhal means someone who has gone astray, someone who's lost. So guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, not the path of those of whom you are angry upon, and nor the path of those who have gone astray. Alright, so alhamdulillah, we were...
Some translators as displeasure.
Displeasure as well. Allah is displeased with them. Dhalin is ism. Dhalin is ism. It's the plural of the word dhalun. Good. Alright. Oh, good. Waw and lam are both harf. Good.
There's some confusion from ism to ism and fail.
Yeah. So that confusion will be lifted once we learn a little bit more. But again, if you fit the technical definition, you should be able to distinguish. Right? The ism is anything that won't have a tense, whereas the fi'l will always have a tense, past, present, or future. But inshallah, as we progress, that confusion should be cleared up. The confusion will be cleared up, inshallah.
Okay, for example, la.
Mhm.
Why is it harf? Because it has an independent meaning. without.
So they say it's actually not an independent meaning.
Oh no.
Right? It becomes a meaning because it's always associated with something before it. Someone asks a question, someone says something, so there's always an association. But by itself, it's still a harf. Alright. So alhamdulillah, we got the concept of chapter 1 down. Right? Insha'Allah. So all of us should have this skill and work on this skill that we're able to identify something as ism, fi'l, harf. The main thing to remember is what every word in Arabic is. Ismun, fi'lun or harfun. Remember the definition of each. What is an ism? What is a fi'l? What is a harf? Now the next 4 to 5 chapters, the author is going to just analyze the ism to death. There's different ways of analyzing an ism. Is it masculine? Is it feminine? Is it singular? Is it dual? Is it plural? Is it definite? Is it indefinite? So that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, inshallah. Once we analyze the ism to death, then we can start finally putting it together in sentences. So initially the concepts may seem somewhat like hazy, shaky, but as we progress, you'll see why it's important to study each of these concepts. Especially when we start putting things together, it all, mashallah, just does what? Comes together. Right? Like you're following the instructions for the Legos and it looks like, nothing. But when you finish, mashallah, it's like a nice, castle. Right? So same thing with Arabic, inshallah. So we ask Allah to accept from us and to make this a means of us learning the language and to make it a means of us getting a deeper understanding of the Quran and Sunnah. Always, if there's any questions, you can always ask me during class. If there's questions during the week, you can just email me and I'll try my best to respond as soon as possible. The videos will be online, the notes will be online, and the books, if you're not purchasing them, the PDFs will be online as well. Are any questions from today's lesson?
So your goal is like 1 chapter per week?
Exactly. The goal is about to do 1 chapter a week, inshallah. Some of the chapters are difficult, so we spread it over 2 weeks. And basically the way I'm going to structure it is we'll go through the theory first, and then we'll just practice it. So that's why I like this textbook, because there's a bunch of exercises. And the purpose of the exercise is just to drill the concept into our brain. If you do 50 exercises on one concept, we better not forget that concept afterwards. So inshallah, we'll do these exercises together in class, inshallah. So next Saturday will be chapter 2, and we'll do the exercises with chapter 2 in class as well, inshallah.
I'll transfer the notes.
Mm-hmm.
The other 2 books, are they for Saturday? I'll transfer the notes.
It's going to be on the learning portal. So if you just sign in, it takes you to the class. You just click on lesson 1, it should be there, inshallah.